And I think we're very focused on today's good and the future good and the future bad. We're scared of Terminator or whatever. And yet there's a whole bunch of stuff we could be doing right now to mitigate problems and really requiring our engineering teams to see the problems and actually do something about them, characterize it, not just have like 3 engineers over here and 3,000 over here working on this, and these people are like, why don't we actually do something so we can practice for fighting Terminator?
So the Turing test, right, this way to test whether or not AI is essentially intelligent. And then there's this notion because of what Ada Lovelace... Turing's perspective, yeah. And then there's a Lovelace, there's a lesser known Lovelace test, which is about whether or not an AI could be creative. And I hear you, and I know in your work, and Joy and other people think a lot about an AI that's more inclusive, an AI that's unbiased, an AI that's so... If there
were less of a thief.
Less of a thief, okay. So if there were a Megan Smith test for AI, what would the criteria be?
You know, I would probably crowdsource that and
good, yeah.
Ask a lot of people who together we would know more, like we always do if we're together, and especially if we do a good job of finding most people versus only one group or 2 groups. Yeah. I think it would be about kindness. You know, kindness is so much more important than knowledge, even though knowledge is important. And so something I think there's this empathy, this part of humanity that is so essential. You know, you're born into a family if you're lucky, and what is that about? And if we want to make this thing, why are we replacing ourselves? And why are we making, you know, so Sarah Karush is here, and Chiron is doing amazing work to look through images to support people to detect breast cancer much sooner. Like, can we have this thing be, can this be helpful? I mean, what AI, in some ways, you can just think it's all of our knowledge as best it can be crawled, and then really good stats to guess what the thing is, right? So it's not really artificial. It's aggregated intelligence, aggregated by some right now. But if it was there, it would be much broader, much kinder.
I was just wondering what you're most excited about in technology right now. Obviously, AI is changing everything. But is there anything you're particularly excited about?
I'm definitely not very excited about AI. But that sounds strange, right? But I just worry about the downsides of it, even though I love the upsides of it. So I have great respect. But I sometimes think in a box like there's good stuff from AI and bad stuff. And there's a future of good and bad, and a future and a current and today of good and bad. And I think we're very focused on today's good and the future good and the future bad. We're scared of Terminator or whatever. And yet there's a whole bunch of stuff we could be doing right now to mitigate problems and really requiring our engineering teams to see the problems and actually do something about them, characterize it, not just have like 3 engineers over here and 3,000 over here working on this, and these people are like, why don't we actually do something so we can practice for fighting Terminator? You know, and there's even a really amazing graphic that our colleague Lauren Smith made out of the big data work we did, where she looked at all the individuals and societal potential harms and graphed this, and then she listed all the mitigations from a huge literature audit she did, like weapons of mass destruction from Kathy O'Neill, some Joy's work, our work, probably 25 things, and this was written in 2017. And so back to school, I wish that more computer science faculty would incorporate problem-set problems from those mitigations and mobilize our amazing young computer science students and those who are working with them to practice at mitigating challenges in AI, as well as working on problems in AI where there's a total absence of technologists working, like on social safety net or environmental justice in addition to health and other things. So that's an area that I'm really excited about, sort of the missing and innovation teammates. You know, so we have, you have written a lot about the United States Digital Service, the 18F team, the Presidential Innovation Fellows, all these people who can now rotate into government just like a lawyer might clerk, or different managers might rotate in government. Government's only whoever shows up. That's all it is. So we need you to show up. even if you come through API or you come in a rotation for a couple of years. We need to make these governments better. They're the wealthiest things in the world, and they're really dusty. And they're full of amazing people who know what they're doing, and they need colleagues who are respectful and co-create with them. The problems are harder than the commercial problems. And so getting in there. So I love working on that kind of stuff, and I love finding things. The one thing I would add is I was just in Rajasthan with this guy, Manvendra. If you look up Dune, DHUN.life, regenerative agriculture, regenerative placemaking, and really thinking about how can we be more in sort of in concert with, or more comfortably with, our planet and each other in a way that brings more kindness in the ecosystem all the way around. That's the stuff I'm super interested in.
Everyone turn on your facial recognition block. We're here to make a plan and can't nobody stop. Everyone turn on your facial recognition block. We're here to make a plan and can't nobody stop. Everyone turn on your